Thank you for watching another Morristown Matters video. What we have today is what's going on in Hamblin County, city of Morristown. We got graffiti going on over here, right across. That's where a city of Morristown officer lives. Got more graffiti going on over here. Graffiti going on over here. Got graffiti going on over here. So this is what it looks like when a citizen tries to cover up some of the crime and vandalism going on in Morristown. Let's see what Gary Chesney does.
They voted through 5-4, and you were one of the yeses, Mayor. But then you turn around and say we send it back. Your yes changed to a no. Because what did the vote go through then?
I don't know, are you sniffing out a conspiracy or what was on the
Well,
video?
I don't know, just tell me.
It looks like at that point, the council members and Gary Chesney just got too deep into the conversation and had to scram like roaches when you turn the light on. Well, Gary Chesney knows that there's corruption going on within the departments of the city of Morristown, but what he also knows is that there's nobody to hold him accountable. Nobody that can look into the allegations that have been made or are willing to look into the allegations that are made. So he is comfortable. Gary Chesney at City Hall is his Facebook page and has been for many of years. And when the early election started a few weeks ago, people were going on there and telling the truth, and he started blocking people from his Facebook page so that they couldn't talk truth about what's going on within the city. Mayor Gary Chesney is proud. He's very proud of the 40,000 residents that from surrounding counties that come into the city of Morristown on a daily basis in order to fulfill the job requirements. Well, it's great to be proud of those 40,000 people because that means businesses are running in our area. But how come we in Morristown can't fulfill those positions? Or better yet, why do those 40,000 people not live within the city of Morristown or Hamblin County? There's a reason for that. They come here, they utilize our infrastructure and our roads, but they don't pay the tag and the registration fees within our county, so we see no funds for that for our road system, but we have to deal with their infrastructure. Well, I guess we have the red light cameras. If they run that, the city gets some money from that. Pirating. Well, the next thing about the 40,000 people coming in is that most of the surrounding counties pay less on their gas for their vehicles, so they're not filling up in Hamblin County. So once again, we are not benefiting from that fund. The only time that we might see any kind of a benefit from the 40,000 citizens from other counties coming in is maybe they go to a restaurant and they eat, or they get their groceries someplace, or they hit up one of the many Walmarts that we have in town, or maybe they get their car washed and get some coffee and support those local companies. But other than that, the government sees no money from those 40,000 citizens that come into our area. What's there to be proud about? That's not proud. Let's continue with talking about proud and how Gary Chesney operates. 4 years ago, he was reelected. He increased the taxes. He built the landing, the big swimming pool facility that cost us citizens $33 million. dollars. On top of that, the fees to utilize that facility is like a private facility for benefit of investors. That's not what the community center is about. And one thing that people were talking about when they got booted and blocked off of Mayor Gary Chesney's Facebook page is that there was never a vote within the council members of a fee for that, nor did the mayor or the council members allow the citizens to vote on whether or not we should have such an elaborate style facility. We do need a facility. We just don't need, at that price, we don't need the employees getting of the city of Morristown getting free memberships there. We don't need blackout dates when people who are paying memberships to attend can't use the swimming pool or the basketball facility or other areas of that because people have rented those for a couple of hours or the evening, or there is some kind of tournament that comes in and that facility is not available to the citizens as it should be made account ready for the citizens to utilize at any point in time. Let's also go ahead and talk about let's continue to talk about the crimes going on in the city of Morristown. As you're aware, I'm sure, there is over $100 million jail facility being made. That jail facility is being made pretty much for drug users. They know that it's a circular door. That's what the sheriff's office has called it, and numerous times, as long with as the council members of the county, and the lack of crimes actually being solved in by the city of Morristown Police Department is very minimal. I requested months of arrests being made, and I can tell you 95% of those arrests are for drugs. They've pulled somebody over, or they've seen somebody walking down the street, or got a call about somebody intoxicated hanging out somewhere, and the arrests are for drugs. The other top on that is probably a couple of percent is going to be your shoplifters from Walmart and other chain stores that catch people shoplifting, and they hold those people. They call the city police. The city police comes out there and makes the arrest. What you got some DUIs on there, but what you don't see is drive-by shootings being ever an arrest being made for them, or auto thefts, or burglary of stuff taken right off of people's front porches. You don't see those in the arrest reports. And if you don't believe me, request a month's worth of arrests from the city of police, of Morristown Police Department, and you will see that there is not arrests for the top crimes that are being committed within our area. And I've experienced the PD being called out, and seeing how they respond, and they never solve what's going on. They're told that the person made a left, and then the officer will drive down the street a little bit. They'll turn their lights off and wait until that vehicle is driven off far enough, or description of people burning vehicles and nothing ever being done about that. If you want to be safe, you need to solve crimes. They're banking on the druggies within the city of Morristown to keep them going. Multiple vehicles of police are being seen at scenes and pictures all over the internet where you have 13 cop cars in one location. What does Hamlin County need that many officers on duty at one point in time, and not making any arrests on most of these crimes? It's pretty pathetic, and you can't be happy about that. We definitely need change. 2 years ago, there was talk about the roads. Roads need to be fixed, and the council members agreed on that. But here we are, still nothing really being done. They're patching up stuff for a 5 year run, knowing that they're going to have to redo it. Well, if they don't have the funds now, they're not going to have the funds later. Because Gary Chesney wants to build a new facility. You need to watch the video that's coming up and watch what each of the council members say, what the mayor says, and make sure that you get out there and vote. If you're not sharing this video to people, this is your last day. Today is May the 1st. Tomorrow's May 2nd. Voting happens. Only 488 people have voted out of 15,000 registered voters. That's not a lot of people, folks. That's like a 0.5%. So you can't complain about your taxes going up or the roads or other things happening within the city if you don't get out there and vote. If you're not sharing this video and 1,000 people are not watching this video that you've shared between now and tomorrow morning, this is a failure. And voting in Morristown is a failure, and the people here don't care. And if you want to live in an area that's going to continue to get worse, drive-by shootings and different affiliations going on around here, and this versus that, get ready because it's going to continue to get worse until you get somebody better in there. Go ahead and watch this video. Make sure you share it. Hit me with that thumbs up so that I know that you watched it. And go ahead and make a difference tomorrow. And talk to your neighbors and stuff and make sure that they are going to vote and who they're voting for and why not vote for the people that are currently in there.
This training tries to increase voter awareness in the area and participation. A few dates to remind you before I introduce the moderator tonight. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, is the election. And early voting begins April the 12th and ends Thursday, April 27th. Tonight it's going to be videoed and it's going to be available, available through the election. Should be available this week. So without further ado, we'll introduce Deborah, the moderator this evening.
Thank you, and I'm just very glad that you're here. I want to explain to you a little bit about how the program will work. We will ask we have 5 questions. We'll ask each candidate to answer those questions, and the candidates for mayor will be first, then the candidates for Ward 2, Ward 4, and at large. And while the order by district is not going to change, the order in which they answer the questions will change. In other words, if Mayor Chesney answers the question first, then Mr. Burke will go second, and then the next time Mr. Burke will answer first and Mr. Chesney will answer second. So, and I'm always proud to show off my antique little buzzer here. They will get a green light when they begin. They will get a yellow light when they have 30 seconds remaining. And then when the red light comes on, they should stop. And most of them will. And I'll give them a little leeway, but if they don't, I'm going to buzz them. This way we should get finished with our program in time for all of you to go home and cheer for either UConn or San Diego State instead of your brother. Or you can turn the TV off if you're sorry the ball's on it. So we're going to go first, and each candidate will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. We're going in alphabetical order for the opening statements, and we're going to start with Mr. Burke.
Oh, it's really tall, isn't it? Okay. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this together, Walter State for hosting us, all of you in attendance here today. It means a lot to see how involved you are in the city, and I appreciate that. Those of you watching from home that couldn't make it today, appreciate you viewing in, and the Citizen Tribune for making it possible for you to watch in the comforts of your own home. So a bit about me that you may find interesting. I have 5 children, a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, a master's degree in nonprofit management and leadership. I'm a military veteran. I've worked in EMS for 5 years. Worked in city government for 9 years now. Department of Children's Services, Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, and I'm currently with the Commission on Children and Youth. I'm running for mayor as I aspire to bring transparency, accountability, honesty, integrity, respect, and a collaborative spirit back to the office of mayor, which we have greatly lacked for some time. Thank you.
Esme.
I was first elected to city council in 2013. 2 years later, I was elected mayor. And in 2013, our city council and the administrative leadership began a very organized focus on making improvements with basic infrastructure and quality of life options. Our decisions were largely based on results from professional, statistically accurate citizen surveys. Since then, we have built a new fire hall and others on the way, which will include a regional training facility. We now have a modern public works facility for our street garbage and engineering departments, and that cleared the way for us to be involved with the expansion of the TCAP facility. We're proud of our new quality of life options, which include the new farmers market in Padilla, the downtown green, Fulton Hill Park, and our new state-of-the-art Morristown Landing Recreation and Event Center. And I know of no other mayor who served in Morristown who's been more open or responsive to public comment than I have.
Now, the candidates for Ward 2, Mr. Bivens.
My name's Chris Bivens. I represent the 2nd Ward in the city of Morristown, but it's also, for those that might not know, it is a citywide action. You do not have to live in the 2nd Ward to vote. I appreciate the chamber, appreciate Walton State. I represented Ward 2 for 12 years. I have experience, dedication, involvement, and in everything that the city does. I try to make every issue, every citizen is something that bothers them. I try to make that like that's my concern. I handle each one individually. I take it to the proper people. And I would also like to tell you I appreciate your support and vote this way. Thank you.
Ms. Close.
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad they made the game a little bit later than I originally thought it was going to be. I thought we will miss the first half. When we first came here, Dr. Timble and I, 40 years ago, why did we pick Morristown? It's got that city atmosphere with a hometown feel. Morristown is a family town where you can find real Southern hospitality next to state-of-the-art international manufacturing facilities. I'm a proud mother of 3 daughters, and yes, I'm a proud grandmother of 4. When I see some pictures, I do have a few. I am proud to call Morristown my home, and I'm honored to be asked to run for city council.
Thank you. Mr. Ahern. Mr. Ahern is running unopposed in the 4th district.
Good evening. Welcome to Walker State, the #1 junior college, or community college in Tennessee. I'm still in Dr. Nixon's country. I grew up in a town the size of Morristown. After graduation, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I served 2 tours of duty in Vietnam during that time. Moved to South Carolina, worked for CBA for 7 years, worked for the newspaper industry down Tennessee in 1979. Came to work for Mr. Fishman, I think I probably should start calling on computer service. I lived here for 44 years. I lived in the same house for 43 years. I did not pursue this office. I was asked by a fellow council member to run for this office, so I did, and ultimately I won. My spiritual gift is serving, and I was called to serve. I answered that. Love Morristown, lived here more than anywhere else, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. The next two candidates are running for an at-large seat, and first is Mr. Joseph Center.
I would like to say good evening to everybody. Those who don't know me, my name is Joseph Center. That's what you will see on the ballot. But I've been around here. I'm going on 70 years old. God's blessed me. What I'm running is this. Me running for city council at large seat, that gives everybody in the city of Morristown the opportunity to vote for me. And to have a say-so in the city government, it means if you live in the city, no matter where, and you are a registered voter, you can vote for me. If you own property in the city and live in the county, you can vote for me. Now on May 2nd, let's do the right thing and vote for Joe Center. Y'all know me. I've been around here, been in the ER for 31 years, and God blessed me to get out of there. I'm a licensed funeral director in Baltimore for Dr. Center Funeral Home, also an ordained preacher. So I wear a lot of hats, but I'm rolling with it. May God bless you.
Thank you. The next candidate is Mr. Smith.
I would like to thank Walter State and Citizen Tribune and Chamber of Commerce for having this forum tonight and letting us all tell you what we think of Morristown. I think Morristown is a great place to be and to live and raise our families, and that's what we want to continue for it to be. I've been in this town most of my life. I've been here about 67 years. And we've, as someone said, that lived in the same house for a long time. We've been in our house. We live in Barton Springs, and that's been home for us for the last 43 years. And my wife is Rowena. A lot of you know Rowena. She has Rowena's, and my daughter Regina on Main Street, and they have the bookstore, Christian bookstore, and also Gigi's. So we're involved in the community, business-wise and church-wise, and we're just proud of Morristown. We're glad to be here. And we have 3 children, Regina, Katrina, and Kendrick, and we have 9 grandchildren, which we're all proud of. We love Morristown. Thank you.
For the next portion of the program, the candidates will get 2 minutes to answer the questions. And we're going to be, and I'm going to read the question once. If any of the candidates need me to repeat it before you speak, please let me know. For the audience, please pay attention so I don't have to read it like 7 times. Thank you. Our first question is, what is the top issue facing the city And what do you recommend to address it? Mr. Burke, you go first.
Thank you, Deborah, for the question. So I believe the top issue facing our city is that our incredible growth over the past few years is stretching our infrastructure to its capacity. There is no doubt that this growth brings various benefits to our city and to our people, and I applaud the Chamber and the Council for some of the steps that were taken to be in this position. However, with our population exceeding 30,000 people and our daytime numbers around 120,000, not to mention the droves of people that will likely be here for various events and tournaments at the landing, we need to ensure that our infrastructure can handle our growing needs. This issue is obvious as you drive down West AJ at just about any time of day. You all know it's true. It's also apparent when you see the physical stress and the tolls our roads have taken, no pun intended. Or the increased car accidents, or increased police and fire calls. So to address this issue, we need to recruit the best men and women that the area has to offer to work for our city. And we need to give them the necessary tools to do the best job possible. We need to retain this staff with a highly competitive salary benefits package. We need to consider projects like widening roads whenever possible and continued maintenance of all others. And we need to synchronize all traffic lights to help our traffic flow throughout town. I'm excited to tackle these challenges with you and excited to have further conversation along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chesney.
Well, the top issue, I think, is pretty obvious, and I think it may very well be traffic flow. We're experiencing significant population growth, largely the result of the success our chambers had in industrial recruiting and existing company expansions. It's created a very healthy job market. We're projected to grow our population by another 1,500 to 2,000 residents by 2025. I believe we're meeting the housing demands, but traffic flow, this is a challenge. Currently, how we're dealing with this, we're making street improvements, new turning lanes, modern GIS computerized cameras on the traffic lights through the core of our town. And we'll soon complete a nice shortcut street connecting Crockett Ridge with Thompson Creek Road. Changes are coming on East Morris Boulevard and Highway 160. I think the way we make improvements to keep traffic flow ahead of traffic growth is to maintain the excellent working relationship our city department leaders have with the decision makers at the Tennessee Department of Transportation and with our LAMTO people organization. LAMTO, don't try to say this by yourself, LAMTPO. It's a streets and highways planning group, sort of a think tank organization dealing with transportation challenges. Our office here for LAMTO was largely responsible for successfully winning that $23 billion federal grant, which will change the look of Radio Center and South Cumberland Street. This is what I see as a significant challenge. This is how we're dealing with it now and in the near future.
Our next candidate is Councilmember Bivens from Ward 2.
Thank you, Deborah. Again, I'm going to echo or repeat what everyone else has said about the transportation part. If you're going from west to east, 11E used to just be on Friday, but now it's every day of the week. And you cannot hit west to east in a timely fashion unless you take Route 160. If you do that, we recommend that. But in the future, long-term planning, I can see that we will have to put a third route into Morristown and out of Morristown. The original plan years ago was Veterans Parkway, and I don't know that that will develop or whatnot, but there are grants to make this happen. Another big issue that we're dealing with which is arm of the city. We've still got to provide water, sewer, transportation to everybody in the city. And to do that, we have to grow with the growth of the community. And that's a big step to do. You know, we've got to prioritize our long-range planning. And we need to do that pretty quick. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Close.
You might think that we all got together and talked about the same thing. I think we must have. We were all driving down AJ Highway and were caught at a traffic light, and we all said, okay, this is good growth, but we all know Morristown is growing. There are new opportunities for work, for play. We're fixing things up. We're making room for lots and lots of new people, new houses, new apartment complexes, probably some new schools, I do believe, are on the schedule. But remember, one of the things we've got to do is, why did we all come here? Most of us came here because we kind of sort of like that smaller town atmosphere. One of the things we've got to concentrate on doing, we need to take advantage of what is here. If, like my good friend Tom Strait says to me when I said, we've just moved to town, Tom, how do I get involved in things? I think it took a week. And I'm calling Tom back and I said, Tom, call the dogs off. Little did I realize how appropriate it was to use that term with Tom. But I had so many possibilities of places and people to help that I was almost exhausted 2 weeks after we got here. I think that what you've got to do is take some of the experiences you've had in other places and let's share those good solutions you've had in other places. We've all been in traffic jams wherever you've lived. We've all had problems, but we might have some creative solutions. Bring them up. Come to a city council meeting. They're not going to scare you. People are available. You can even call the city hall number. It's easy to remember, 5810100. The only one I think I've got on my phone that I can remember half the time. But there are a lot of people who are ready and willing to help us. But sometimes you have to give some suggestions and talk about your experiences. I think if you have an idea, you're going to find that we can build Morristown's future together.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Center.
I think what is the topic issue facing the city and what you recommend to address it. Well, I'm going to tell you, our roads in Morristown is terrible, especially over there where I live at. They just seem like they'll knock your car out of line every time you go by the post office. And the next thing is the homeless. I know a lot of people don't pay no attention to that, but if you drive out Cumberland Street behind the laundromat, there's a whole city down there living in tents. I don't know if they want to do it or they can't help but doing it, but I think it should be brought to our attention. And the next thing is diversity. We need to look at things just like the city council. Diversity means all people should have a say-so of what's going on in this city. And I promise you that if I win a seat, I will do my best to bring diversity in to the city council.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Excuse me, I feel like the cleanup batter tonight on this subject. I think we've all talked about roads, streets, and the traffic situation. And we'll all agree that it's bad right now. And we need to, that needs to be on our radar and fix it. And it is. You know, several years ago, we had a mandate that the MUS had to repair the sewer lines. And it tore up about every street in the city. And that's the one reason that the streets are in such bad shape. There's other reasons too, but that's one of the reasons. And we've been trying to do all we can each year to repave these streets. But you know, it takes a lot of money for that asphalt. And we can't do more than we got money to do. And so, but on the same subject, the traffic situation, the 160 bypass, or 160 highway, that's one of the better things that we've done in the last few years is put that road, because you can get the money in from the west end to the east end rather quickly. And that's been a good thing. So we need to look at other things like that, though, to alleviate the traffic situations. And we've got the cameras on the way lights to help keep the traffic flowing and so forth. But we can do better, and we need to do better on our paving and our street planning. So that's in essence what we need to do.
Thank you. Mr. Ahern, I apologize. I've had too many Benadryl today.
I don't think this is on many people's radar, but one of the things that we really need to look at seriously in long-range planning is another industrial park. Our industrial parks are almost full. At the East Tennessee Progress Center, we only have 2 large sites left. There are several other small sites that can be occupied, but we only have 2 that handle large plants. So we need to look at that seriously because we want to continue to grow in this town. I know we have a lot of structural problems, physical problems that we need to address, but we also need to keep growing Morristown. So Morristown's Industrial Board and Tennessee Valley Authority are looking into where the sites are, where we could possibly put us another site. And I think that's one that we do not need to lose sight of.
Thank you. Our second question, what area of expertise do you or would you bring to the council? What skills, qualities, or specific knowledge do you have that would make you a valuable mayor or member of the Morristown City Council? And we'll begin with Mr. Chesney.
I think this is a great question for our mayor's race because we have a very wide difference in qualifications for this job. I've lived here 49 years, 10 months, and 3 weeks. I know the historical and political backstory of every single change that has occurred in our city and county that has us where we are today. I have more than just a pretty good idea of what has worked, can work, and won't work. In my time here, I've been on either the board or committee of United Way, Rose Center, the Chamber of Commerce, the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brother, Department of Parks and Rec. I served 20 years on our school board. I've served 2 years as a councilman, and I'm in the midst of 8 years as your mayor. The old saying goes, experience. It's what you get immediately after you need it. Well, I can tell you, I've accumulated a good bit of experience. What do you think?
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Burke?
Thank you, Deborah. So I have a number of skills, qualities, knowledge, and experience, which I believe will be great improvements to the office of mayor. So I talked earlier in my opening statement a bit about my education, but in fear of getting the dreaded buzzer, I quickly ran through it. So I will let you know that my education allows me to understand systems and how to lead them into greater growth, impact, and efficiency. I mentioned about my bachelor's in criminal justice, master's in nonprofit management and leadership, and those programs taught me how to analyze and improve systems and lead generations into greater success. I also have served on the inaugural Resilient Tennessee Collaborative Leadership Academy, in which the top leaders in the child serving systems get to participate in. My career path, briefly mentioned again with the state military EMS, has provided me experience of selfless service to those who need it most. And I'm not above getting into the trenches and getting my hands dirty to support the work that needs to be done. My mentality is that the city is better together and that we have something valuable, we each have something valuable to bring to the city, whether it's an idea, a passion, skill set, that can make us better. I believe that if we leverage our differences in just the right way, we can reach our full potential. This is a vastly different mindset of the current mayor, as he argues against, bullies, and degrades anybody who does not agree with him. This is an incredibly inappropriate response, especially coming from the office of mayor. This willingness and excitement to listen, collaborate, and respect people's opinions is arguably my greatest skill, and one that will be welcomed and much needed into our changing, more diversified city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Ms. Close.
I know how to listen. I use this a lot serving on county commission. I do know how to talk. In the newborn ICU, I had to perform under pressure. I know how to find answers. I know how to do research. I show up when I'm supposed to, and I participate. Boy, can I ask questions. I know how we can move forward together as a community.
Thank you. Mr. Bivens.
My name's Chris, for the record.
Can I call you Chris?
Passed away in 1985.
How old?
January the 4th.
Make note.
Chris. Please make that note. Thank you. I've been elected, not appointed, to the city council. I'm a good listener. I've been doing this for 12 years. I get out and talk to people. I go see what the situations are, the pros and the cons. I go see what the guidelines are through the planning and the coach department, and I make decisions on my research. My number one research that I did for the city and brought to the council for their approval was, we went out and researched the delinquent properties that were never mowed, and we had to mow them, but now due to some research I've done, we brought that back, and we found out that we could charge this back to whoever the property owner was. I did a lot of research on that, and it worked. Next thing I've done, the administration come to the council looking for a change in the budget to cover the health care costs for the employees. I researched this, and I also found out during this period of time, through much work and much hardship, did I find this out, that there was money in the budget to cover this. And number three, I'm the one that introduced that we do the videotaping of city council meetings. I think we're way behind time in not doing that. For people that's not eligible to attend, and watch it on TV, tape, whatever. They have the ability to watch this. I contribute ideas to the council for their consideration. And that's three things that I have presented that they agree with. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ahern.
I attended the University of South Carolina where I majored in math and computer science and business systems. And for about 50 years, I've been an analyst. That's my major job throughout my life. I've been an analyst. I analyze business problems and analyze solutions for those. I worked with, I did a joint venture in the 80s with AT&T. We developed the first interactive online system for county government. We installed it here in Hamilton County in 1983 or 1984. I don't remember exactly. But my focus has been solving problems, and I think I've prepared myself for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Well, I've been a pharmacist for 55 years. And I've had several businesses. At one time we had 3 drugstores. I'm doing it now. And we'll be getting rid of that soon, hopefully. And I work downtown, the Trails Drugstore. Some of you may remember that, and probably not many of you remember that because it's been gone a long time. But I worked there for 12 years, and I learned a lot about downtown and what downtown needed, and I kind of fell in love with downtown. And so we've been very interested in seeing downtown restored. We saw the peaks of downtown. I think we've all seen the picture of 55, but when they had the bicentennial of Hamilton County. And it was, the streets were full and everything. That's the way that it was back in the 50s and 60s and early 70s. Then we saw downtown kind of go down. And in the early 2000s, right, started coming back. The malls and things, the shopping centers pulled things away from downtown. But in the early 2000s, right, things started coming back. And now we're seeing, we're almost to the point that we're going to see some great growth in downtown. And we can do that by listening to people. What do people want? And what would you like to see downtown? We do a lot of listening. And before I was on city council, I was on planning commission for 5 years. I've been on the city council for 8 years. And I was on the Crossroads Partnership, which is a downtown organization, for 12 years. And advisory board for Valley Health and advisory board for Cardinal Health. And these are things that when you listen to people and get ideas, and then you see them implemented. So that's my qualifications.
Thank you. Mr. Center.
I would just like to bring common sense to the city hall. I've done a lot of things in my life. I have a well-rounded life. Preacher, undertaker, bass player, all kinds of stuff God blessed me with. But I've worked in the public for many years. I worked in the healthcare for 31 years. And I've been in the business community just about all of my life. But most of all, I do not have any kind of degree except a mortuary degree. I do have a degree. I don't have a theology degree. But if you've been in church at all, you know what a BA degree is. If you don't know, that's being born again. May God bless you.
Thank you. Our third question, now that the Public Works building is complete and Morristown Landing is open, what is the next large civic project this city should consider? Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Deborah. Although true that Morristown Landing is open, I strongly believe that the site continues to be the focus of our most important civic project to come. You see, what was initially marketed as a community center, then put on the far west of town, with prices unattainable by the majority of the community, should not be considered a project at completion. These walls may be up, and cheers of joy and excitement may come from within, but until the programs and amenities at the landing are accessible to the majority of our people, I will always consider it to be a project in the works. In my opinion, it makes little sense to have such an incredible addition to our city, yet a large portion of those who will be bearing the burden of paying for it for the next 30 years will never be able to step foot through those doors. With that in mind, I'd like to partner with all those interested to bring multiple free events on site. Some training, education, ESL classes, whatever, whoever wants to partner with me, let's do it. Additionally, I believe the largest part of this next civic project in making Morristown Landing more accessible is to find a way in which our children and youth can consistently and routinely enjoy the services. And trust me, I have several ideas, but for fear of the buzzer, we'll talk later. In my experience, children and youth, especially those who would be considered disadvantaged for a number of reasons, are often one opportunity, one caring adult away from a completely different life. Morristown Landing, in conjunction with the caring, compassionate adults that we have in this city and our skilled businesses, could and should be a significant part of the answer to how to best support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chesney.
Well, next large projects, I think one I want to suggest that's kind of short term and the other one a bit farther out. But for the short term, I've asked our city administrator and council to consider in our new budget for next year that we work on making some improvements to our large East End part, Frank Loreno. Specifically, we need to figure out how to make traffic flow easier. That part's always been a nightmare for drivers who are exiting when 3 or 4 ball games are over. They're trying to get out at the same time there's another set of games getting ready to start. I'm not talking about major renovations or additions to sports activities. Those preferences are changing, and our new Parks and Recreation Director, Travis Barbie, has that given it his attention. But I think the biggest issue at Frank Loreno today is doing a better job of getting traffic in, getting traffic about, and getting traffic out. On a longer term, we are discussing and we're studying when will be the right time to add a performing arts center to Morristown. If you are going to the landing and you're in front of the landing at that roundabout, you may not know this, but we own that land to the right. This would give our local theater groups and school performing arts a quality venue, concerts and professional entertainment would be a good draw. The easy in, easy out highway system that's around the landing, which had a large part in making the decision of putting it and the acreage on the site where it is. The Performing Arts Center won't be a firm proposal until it is financially right. But I think that's likely long-term our next large civic project.
Thank you. Chris.
Performing Arts Center, that's for the future. We're not ready for it now. We don't have the funds, I think, right now to do it. We don't need to vote in a tax increase to fund it. I feel like we need to complete what we started, being the landing, Fulton Hill Park, before it's fully operational to its utmost potential. For the current population and also the future population, which is growing daily. Public Works building is new. We gave the TCAT Center the land for their development when we moved to the Public Works facility. We have moved the Humane Society to a different location instead of with the Public Works. And we've renovated the City Hall, which was not inexpensive, okay? We provided the water line to downtown Morristown. That's for growth of the downtown and future renovations. We've done the farmers market, and we've done the downtown green. I think we have our feet in enough right now until we get some of these things off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Close?
Chris, I think you and I agree. There's been a lot done in Morristown in recent years. But one of the things that I don't think we've done enough of is I don't think we're that proud of everything we've done. I don't think we talk about it enough. I think we're too busy worrying about kind of what we're going to do next, what we're going to do, who's going to be here. I think what we need to do now is work on building those partnerships with the communities around us. Do you know we have thousands of people who come into Morristown every day to work, to play? We need to be pulling those people in and treating them as they're members of our community. They may be transient members of the community, but we need to PR our pride and talk about Morristown as though we're all glad to be here, and we'd like to basically get everybody's improvements and everybody's suggestions and their participation. I'm one of those crazy parents who drove my daughters 40,000 miles a year to Knoxville. That's a lot of time, usually at 4:30 in the morning several days a week. And they swam at UT. One of the best news that I've ever heard was that UT was really interested in coming up to Morristown and talking to us about maybe setting up a satellite swim program now that we have a facility here. So more families can take advantage of opportunities that may not be available. Not everybody has a crazy mother who's going to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Yes, my kids all swam in college, but I think we'd have a lot more opportunities for our kids and for each of us in a master's swimming program, just to use that as an example, if we would really look at ways that we can build more of those partnerships in the region, in the area, And hopefully, there won't be quite as many of you getting up at 4:30 in the morning to have to drive to Knoxville. Mr. Ahern?
I believe it was in 1918 that the Morristown City Council first discussed a community center. It took us over 100 years to get it done. Now, I agree with Mayor Chesney that we need a performing arts center. I don't believe we need it right now. I agree with Chris on that. But we need to look at that. That would enhance the quality of life in Morristown greatly. We have two theater companies here in Morristown, Encore Theatrical Company and Theater Guild. Theater Guild, I believe, is the first or second oldest community theater in Tennessee. And I think we would do ourselves great service to have a performing arts center, not only for theater, but for concerts, seminars, and many other uses that could be had. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Center?
I'm just going to piggyback on the city center, or whatever they want to call it, the Morristown Landing. I'm just going to back up you all. That Morristown Landing is not actually built for everyone in Morristown because of what it costs to go down there and what it costs to get in there for a membership. Years ago, they were talking about a city center, same thing they got in Jefferson City. Well, what they built down there is a compound that you're going to have to pay a lot of money just to go inside the door. And to me, it's not really a public thing. It's turned out to be a private landing country club type thing. So let's back it up a little bit. It's already built. Let's try to change something about how people can get in there, because the average person cannot go way down West Morristown and pay that type of money just to go swimming. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Most of what I have to say has already been said. One thing is, and it's been mentioned to me a number of times by citizens of Morristown, is the Performing Arts Center. I know that's not on the radar now, but for a city that's growing and one that's looking for greenery, they've got a Performing Arts Center. It's very well respected, and I think we could have something like that too, but not now. But still, that's long-range planning. We have to do that. And like the mayor said, we have property already and so forth to do that on. But let's go back to the landing. A lot of industries, when they come to town, they come in and they look to see what the town has, what they have for their employees and so forth. And that's one of the things that they usually want to know. Do you have a community center that our employees can enjoy and benefit from? So I think it does more than, it's maybe not for everyone. We still got the Tally Ward Center for the basketball and some of the other pickleball and so forth. But we have those two, and it's good to have something for everyone. We've got the splash pad down at the landing. That's for any small kids and no cost. And then there's the climbing wall. There's a cost to that, but that's for the small kids. They've got the walking track for us older people. And then for those in between, they've got the weight rooms and swimming pools, so forth. So it has something for everyone. So we need to be proud of it and make use of it. And there's a lot of corporate things that can go on down there. So it's a good thing for the community overall. And that's all I'll say about that.
Thank you. Our next question, given the opportunity to change one thing about city government in Morristown, what would you change and why? Mr. Chesney, go first.
Whenever I had to give this one more thought than any of the questions, because I'm not sure that there's any glaring changes that I see that need to be made. I imagine there's plenty of suggestions, but from an up-close view, I think things operate pretty well. But one that does come to mind that we've had a problem with for the last 2 or 3 years is a cap on fines in city court. I'm not talking about speeding tickets and running stop signs. I'm not talking about raising fines for that. There's enough of us that have had that experience. But we have a number of folks who have been in blatant violation of appearance and safety codes, and when they're notified, they just say, $50, the fine's no big deal. And we've had trouble enforcing some safety codes, and the violators haven't been too motivated by that $50 cap. So I guess the question I took to mean if I could wave my magic mayor wand, don't really have one, but if you could, what would you change? That's the first thing that came to mind.
Thank you. Mr. Burke.
Thank you. The biggest change that city government needs to make is involving our citizens in the work that we're doing. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that everyone has something valuable that they can offer to the city. Instead of welcoming people's voice, it's been removed and or quieted here in recent years. An example is that a referendum concerning Morristown Landing's debt, which would have put a vote on the matter in your hands, was struck down. Instead of allowing the people to voice their opinion on the matter, elected officials who voted in the negative chose to remove that democratic right from you. Additionally, the public comment section for non-agenda items was removed from your city council meeting earlier this year. This means that if you have a question or concern that you would like to bring to the mayor and to the council in the form of a public meeting, you have to get off work just a little bit earlier than normal and try to make the pre-meeting at 4 p.m. And then you hope that your respective council member is in attendance because it's not mandatory. Instead of actions such as these that take your voice away and take your power away, we should be embracing and elevating the voice of the people. This can be accomplished by allowing people to attend and participate in city meetings virtually, creating citizen task force teams that inform the mayor and council on very specific issues that plague our city, finding ways to increase attendance at city meetings in a number of ways. When city government involves as many people that want to participate as possible, it highlights the benefits of attending and removes the us versus them mentality that we see around town. It is then and only then that we will find our greatest strength and uncover our true potential for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Close.
I think the one thing that came to mind very quickly was when I went to a city council meeting last month. I think we need parking spaces that are designated for the citizens, or maybe a few more than the few that there are right now. I think that if we could reserve a few more spaces, it would help some of what Rob's talking about. If people don't feel that they're welcome, sometimes the first thing they have to deal with is a parking space. If there isn't one, that's a pretty quick answer to say, we don't want to hear your input. I think that it could be the existing parking spaces could be reassigned a little bit, maybe just a few more, permitted to describe themselves as reserved for citizens. At that point, the citizens do pay the bills, so maybe they would feel a little bit more like someone wants to hear their input. I've never had any trouble with anybody hearing my input, but I think that parking is a problem for everybody, wherever you go. So that's one thing I think would be easy. It wouldn't cost a lot. It might be a win for everybody right off the bat.
Thank you. Chris?
Changes. What changes would I do? Or did I do anything? It's going to be changes regardless. Who's in there, what year it is, what day of the week it is, there's going to be changes. Things we need to address. We need to address the transportation. Involvement with the community. I think we need more input from every citizen to show up and tell us what they're thinking. You can reach us by phone or you can show up with me. I'd be glad to surrender my parking space in the basement. I don't park there very much anyway. Most of the time I can't get the truck in there because they got something on top of it. Videotaping, I told you before, that was my suggestion. Roundtable discussions, that's where the public can come and talk and say what they want to say, and then we'll intermingle and say whatever you want to hear back to you. It's not a very complicated thing to do, but without the public's input, we can't make this happen. Okay? There's no I in team unless you go online and look. I think one of the professional basketball players, Shaq or somebody, told Michael Jordan that. He said, no, there's not. There's a me. And he decided he was going to shoot regardless of whether I was in it or not. So, and you know what? He was pretty successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ahern?
I agree with what everyone said so far about this issue. And I think we need to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, not just the city council. But we have a great city. We have a great administration at the city. We've got great people at Public Works. We've got great people at Morristown Utility. We've got a great police force. I think that we deserve to applaud those departments. They deserve applause. Now, that doesn't mean we don't need to keep tweaking things. But one thing I'd leave you with is, if you have an idea that you think has merit, get a hold of us. Call your council member or the mayor or Tony Cox at the city admin and let them know what your idea is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Well, I too had trouble with this one. I thought, what would I? What one thing would I change? And I think we've got a good team. We work good with the county, state, and Chamber of Commerce. We work good with all of them, and it takes a team effort in the community to make things go and make them work properly. One thing I did think of that we need to think about is we need to get our youth more involved in city government. I think if we had some kind of, and don't ask me how to do this, but internship program or something like that with Walter State, and First Newman, that would be a good thing for the young people, because, you know, in 10, 15 years, a lot of us won't be around. And so we need to train these young people so they can take over things that are going to be coming before them in the next few years. So that was my only thought on that.
Thank you. Mr. Center.
Government shouldn't be a rubber stamp. All areas of the city council should be brought to the people, all people. Term limits. 2 terms should be enough. It shouldn't be a career being a councilman or a mayor. 2 terms. Presidents just get 2 terms. 2 terms is enough.
Thank you. Our final question for this evening. One vote on the council isn't enough to get things done. As such, the ability to work with others, build coalitions, and get enough votes are necessary if your platform is going to be a reality. Talk about your ability to work with others, especially in the political realm, and how you would rally others to support your cause. Please be specific. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Deborah. So throughout this forum so far, I've highlighted a few times, as many as I could, about that one of my strengths is the ability to collaborate, especially with those who may have a differing opinion. Although that's not what we have seen in the office of mayor recently, that is something you could change by going to the polls. So I believe that all council members have the best interests of the city at hand. We probably just have different ways and different thoughts and ideas of how to get there. But the key is building a respectable relationship with each council member and understanding their perspective, taking the time to ask questions and to highlight what their thoughts are and how they came to that decision so that we can work together for the best of the city. Having that mutual respect and understanding is at the core to how city government could and should operate. I have no doubt that we will do great things even when we don't always agree. My work in this area, especially in the political realm, can be found in my current job, actually. In my role as the director of the Tennessee Young Child Wellness Council and the director of the Home Visiting Leadership Alliance with the Commission on Children and Youth. That was incredibly difficult to fit on a business card, by the way. I am charged with leading early childhood systems improvement through data-driven advocacy, education, and collaboration. Systems improvement, systems change, and impact and laws cannot be done alone. Instead, it only comes through relationships, respect, and rallying support. I am confident that my ability to do this at the state level in regards to early childhood networks and systems will allow me to easily transition this into the work at the city level as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Team building. This is what I gather this question is for. But I need to go back to question 2, the one about experience. Probably the greatest lesson that I've learned from all of my years of personal experience and from watching others with whom I've served is that everyone on a board or a council that you may be leading has an opinion worth hearing. If it's different from yours, it may not matter that much to you, but it does to me. And a truly effective leader has to be able to make a person feel that their view has been considered, even if the end result doesn't make them happy. And as a mayor, sometimes you can get your own feelings hurt and you can get humbled. But our council is made up of 7 members. And during my time as mayor, we occasionally have a question before us that lines up with 7 different opinions. But we always try to remind ourselves that none of us is as smart as all of us. And that the final decision must be the one that is the greatest good for the greatest number. The fact that in Morristown we have citywide voting, that means every voter gets to vote for all council members. And even better, every single one of us is answerable to every single voter, not just small pockets of groups in wards or districts. We're elected to make decisions, not to set up grudge matches. A few years ago, our council was on a work retreat, and we were talking about some issue. Things got a little bit chippy. We had a recess. We kind of split up a little bit. Councilman Bob Garrett came up to me with a great piece of wisdom. He says, you know what? You need to remember what the late, great Howard Baker said. The secret to winning a political argument is always keep in the back of your mind that the guy you're arguing with could be right.
Thank you.
Maybe he's learning something today.
Chris.
I'm one of 7 members on this council. You have to build your case with people. One vote will not get you across town. I told you earlier, I sold the deal to the council, the entire council, about the fact that if there was a possibility, lien rights on this property for these people that were not taking care of their yards, letting them grow up, just walking off and forget. Guess what? I sold 6 other people on this and it happened. Okay? I told you earlier about the insurance deal. We didn't think we had the money to do it, and was trying to figure out how we would. And we did. I went and investigated it, I done some research on it, and we made it happen. And the videotaping, I'm not quite as proud of that one as some other ones that we've done. We went out and got bids on it, from what I've heard today. We're not doing that for particular individuals, we're doing that for people that don't have the ability to be at the meetings. And I think we owe every citizen that, to show it on a tape delay, whatever. I'm not saying we do that for platforming or nothing like that. I'm just saying that's the right thing to do. It's 2023. All this stuff takes time. It takes time. It takes patience. And it takes a big sense of humor. I've got every one of those. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Close.
As a mother of 3 daughters, I learned very quickly how to ask questions, get my facts together, figure out where it was we were trying to go, and how to build a consensus. Those attributes come in pretty handy when you're talking with citizens and your fellow council members. My husband and I live in Old Town in a 138-year-old house where I've learned that in order to keep the lights on, you better be careful with your budget, because there's always something else you gotta fix. But you know, when you're retired and you've got that fixed income that they talk about, you also have to be good at finding ways to afford to make things happen.
Thank you. Mr. Ahern.
In my almost 50 years of installing computer systems around the country, I've had to develop, and my people had to develop the skills to negotiate with individual employees, because many times we turned their world upside down by changing their procedures and their job responsibilities. So we had to be able to basically negotiate with each individual that was involved to make sure that they were on board with what was coming and not feel like it had been pushed on them. Most of them understood that it was for the betterment of the company, but lots of times they didn't feel like it was for the betterment of them. So we had to develop those skills. And I've been able to work with everybody on the council without harsh words or any abject disagreements. And I think the council works well together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Center.
I'm willing to vote for the betterment of all people. There shouldn't be politics over doing the right thing. Take politics out and let's just work together and do the right thing.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
I think the city is a lot like a team. We have a lot of different players. One player can't carry the whole team. And it takes a lot of good players. I remember I learned that early on in elementary school, playing basketball. And then on through the high school. Those were some good lessons for me, because you found out that it took all of you to win a game. And very seldom do you have a star, but the next game you may have a different star. And so it's very important that we work as a team. We've had an excellent police department. Our chiefs do an excellent job. The fire department, they do an excellent job. And public works, what would we do in the wintertime if we didn't have any snow removal? Of course, this year we won't have any problem, but sometimes when we got those 15-inch snows, we were very appreciative of it. We appreciate them picking our garbage up. We're one of the few cities I understand in the state of Tennessee that has curbside bulk garbage pickup, brush and so forth. So, and our recycling, that's something we have that a lot of cities don't have. So we've got a good, but what I'm saying, it takes a lot of people to make this team up. And when you see us all working together, and I think one thing that the city council did early on when I first came on, I think Mayor Chesney had that done. He had it, we do a work session before we have the council meeting. We're able to work through any problems or any differences that we might have. We don't all see the same, but we all usually come together and do the best for the most people. And so that's what we have to do. And I'm just proud of our city, and I want to see it. We've got good progress going, and I want to see it. I want us to keep that going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we do our closing statements, I just want to remind everyone the candidates for mayor are Mr. Burke, Ms. Bivens, and Katie Close, and the candidates running in the 4th ward is Mr. Ahern, and the at-large candidates are Mr. Center and Mr. Smith. And now we'll do our closing remarks. Mr. Smith, you go first. Mr. Smith. We're going to read the guidelines.
I thought I just got through. Well, I would like, again, to thank this group for coming out tonight and listening to all we had to say, to Walter State, Chamber, and to Citizen Tribute. We appreciate all of you taking time to do this. I like Morristown. Morristown has been my home almost all my life. And so I'm proud to see us doing things that will make it a better place to live, raise our families. And there's three things that are very important to me. That's my faith, my family, and my friends. And my friends, that includes the community. So we want to do the most for the most people that we can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Center?
In my closing tonight, I have a website set up. My son, I just started doing Facebook about a year ago. He set me up a website, electjoecenter.com. And unbelievable, you get on there and look at that, and you'll know how I am, you'll see how I am, and you can see what I believe in. He's even made a video of me. So I just, I'm just, words cannot explain how proud I am. But I'm going to tell you, I don't have a war chest. If anybody want to buy me a sign, you buy me a sign. God bless.
Mr. Ahern?
In my years of installing computer systems, I discovered rather slowly, but it finally sunk in, that what people need and what people want and what is right very rarely lines up. If you get 2 out of 3, you're doing good. I would charge each one of you to ask every day somebody that you run into if they voted and ask them to go to the polls and vote, either early or on the day of election. And I appreciate everybody that's been here. It means you care about our community. And I would say the same thing, and people are going to see it on video tomorrow and the next day, whenever they see it. Please come out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Close.
I agree with what Al just said. Y'all are great to have come out tonight. It's a beautiful room here. When I'm elected to your city council, I will be there to show up, to ask questions, to represent you in the little issues as well as the big. Because my family and I live here too. I heard this from Reba McEntire the other day. That was great. She said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing this, to succeed on Morristown City Council, I think you need 3 things: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. That kind of, in a nutshell, is me, Katie Tyndall Plus.
Thank you. Chris?
I care about Morristown. I represent anybody and everybody in this community. I represent the 2nd Ward, but all taxpayers can vote for me. It doesn't matter where you live in the city, it's a wide open election. I listen to people. If you've got an issue, I'll research it. I have to go on site and see what it is. I'll take it back to the city department. We'll discuss it. You may not always get your way. But I will do it. I'm your laborer. I'm Chris Bivens. I want to ask you for your vote. Early voting starts April the 12th, is that correct? Ends the 27th, and election day is May the 2nd. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Chesney? No.
Well, I'll leave you with this. You know, we're a hub of 8 rural counties, and those counties send almost 18,000 people here every morning. Go to work, shop, eat, see about their health care, go to school. And I've said a long time, if you're doing all that here, why not live here? And many of them are now buying homes here to fulfill that. My philosophy has been, as mayor, to convey to others, I like living here, and I want my fellow citizens to like it too. I enjoy bragging to others about Morristown, and I want my fellow citizens to enjoy bragging to others too. Hamlin County is the 3rd smallest county in the state of Tennessee, square mileage. I like to include this little nugget of information when I'm doing some of that bragging. And I've spent 8 years saying this, and you probably heard it. We are Morristown. We outpunch our weight class. I appreciate your vote, so we keep on punching.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm humbled to be here, humbled for this opportunity, and your guys' support throughout has meant the world that I can't even tell you. I've continued to felt it the entire time. So many messages, emails, contacts, applause. You guys have been amazing, and that's what I'm here for you guys and you alone. So thank you for that. I hope you will consider not only what you've heard here tonight, but what you have seen in the most several years. There's some statements that Mr. Chesney is the most responsive mayor, yet he quiets your voice and raises your taxes. If that's what you want, if that's what you ask for, then he is the most responsive mayor. He says that his opinions matter to him, but if you attend a city council meeting or watch his Facebook comments, you'll find out that that's certainly not true. So I hope you will consider everything that you've seen, everything you've heard over the past several years, and that you will make an informed decision as to what the best direction of the city needs to be. Thank you for being here, thank you for your attention, and thank you for all that you do to make our city great. And I can't wait to take the next steps with you together, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
Thank you.